Christopher Borgle's The Drama follows two main characters played by Robert Pattinson and Zendaya, respectively. They are actually an engaged couple in the film, and we see how they meet and basically everything leading up to their engagement to this last week or so prior to the wedding is all kind of sped up and summed up within the first act, roughly. They seem like a great couple. Everything seems to be going really well. The planning for this wedding seems to all be going good. What could go wrong? After a certain revelation comes about regarding Zendaya's character, it makes things very tense and awkward, not only for the two of them, but also some other people that are in the know on this as well. And it makes it hard for them to really kind of proceed not only with the wedding, but just with each other and connecting with each other on a human level, and especially for Robert Pattinson's character, really kind of looking at her differently and having to reevaluate him as well as a person and his morals. And it's one of the most fascinating things about this movie, and it's the general question I took away from this movie, this question of what would you do if you found out about this, if someone you knew. The type of relationship really is kind of irrelevant. The fact that it happens to be a romantic thing here just kind of adds a little more to it and adds some more drama, if you will, to it. But if you knew someone who did this thing that Zendaya's character did, also kind of didn't do, if you know, what would you do? What would your reaction be? I understand both sides too. That's another thing that was very interesting for me watching this and experiencing this movie, was kind of how empathetic I grew towards Zendaya's character as it went on. Because initially, when this revelation comes about, it's like, oh, no, huge red flag. But as the movie goes on, as you kind of get a little more backstory with your character, it doesn't justify it, but it sheds new light on it, and it makes it a little bit understandable and makes her motives a little bit understandable. Oh my god, I just have to say there are multiple scenes in this movie that were so uncomfortable for me, so cringy, but in a great way, not in a way that worsened it or devalued the viewing experience for me at all. But multiple scenes, especially one scene where there's a big gathering of people that on multiple occasions, I like couldn't even look. I had to just like sit back in my chair and like, oh my gosh, it was so uncomfortable. It is not a heartfelt, comforting movie pretty much at all. You know, it kind of is at first. At first, it seems like it's going down that sort of routes, feel-good routes, but this movie is not for the faint of hearts. It is tough to watch and tough to get through. This is not a movie that you would want to watch on Valentine's Day at all, okay? It's very dark, but very funny, too. There's a lot of stuff that is funny as well. It's a dark comedy, you know, technically it's considered a dark comedy, so a lot of the comedy that you do get are in kind of these uncomfortable, awkward situations. Often it is from just the line delivery and the timing of some of these lines from Pattinson and Zendaya, who, by the way, are both so great in the movie. They did such a good job, both of them. I got some chuckles from the editing, too. The editing in this movie is very off-putting and in your face and has kind of kinetic energy to it that I mostly did like and was amused by. Not all the time, though. There was definitely some times where it was a little too off-putting. If I had a complaint for the movie that I wanted to bring attention to, that would be one. Sometimes it was just a little too much for me. They do a thing with the editing here in certain scenes where you'll just see part of the scene and then you'll kind of get the other parts later in the scene, and there's this sort of cross-cutting going on between that scene and then something that happens after that scene has already happened, and it's kind of goes back and forth in time. That's maybe a little confusing the way I'm explaining it. I don't know. If you see the movie or have seen it, I think it'll make a little more sense to you. And yeah, they kind of just seem to keep rolling with that technique on more than a few occasions. And I feel like it maybe got a little bit tired by a certain point. But overall, I loved this movie. I loved the drama. I found it to just be incredibly fascinating, especially just because of this thing that is revealed that happened with Zendaya's character, and this question of just like, what would you do if someone you knew did this, if you were associated with someone who had those kinds of thoughts. I love just the style of the movie and the dark comedy utilized, and the editing for the most part, like I said. And all the acting was great, besides the two leads as well. Everyone else did a good job. I'm going to rate the drama a 9.5 out of 10. I really think that this is a great film, and I just think it's awesome to have these two huge celebrities, these two huge movie actors, doing a movie that is this weird and different and almost a little surreal in certain aspects. It's pretty cool. I hope that this will have a pretty big audience by the time that it has finished its run in theaters, and will, expose these kinds of weird, dark comedies to a more mainstream audience. But what do you think of this movie? If you have seen it, let me know your thoughts in the comments, and I'll see you in my next video. Peace out.